in YouTube, and you will get a link. Okay, so welcome to this course. So this is a kind of important course, as you would all realize. So there is a lot of things to do as part of this course, and as it turns out, this course does not have a lab component for the undergraduate students. So the logistics are going to be a little tricky. So anyway, let's discuss that first before we start the course. Okay, so let me share my screen. So can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so CS 230, CS, sorry, what is this? I'm writing some, I think it is CS3, I don't know what it is. CS360, okay, CS360/CS 530. So this is the course. It has, so basically the name says Foundations of Machine Learning, but essentially we will do machine learning as part of this course. And so the name is something that is hard to, really fix, because if you see, this field has been evolving its name. So if you see the early textbooks, it says statistical pattern recognition. That's what it started with. Before that, it was called statistics. Now it became statistical pattern recognition. Then it became machine learning. Then it will be called data science. So this keeps changing, but essentially the idea is always the same. Okay, so don't worry about the specific name that we have, but let's just say it's a machine learning course, and let's see what is expected out of this course. So the first thing is logistics. So we will have, so as I was discussing earlier before some of you joined in, so the classes are on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. The Tuesday, I will try to take the full 1 hour, which is 2 to 3. On Thursdays, since some of you have class, I will try to finish about 5 to 10 minutes before. And again, Friday, the current allocated time is 11:30 to 12:30. There is a clash with another course, which is called as Foundations of Digital Transformation. So I understand that Shashwat is one person who is interested in that course as well. So since now there is a larger audience, can I know how many else would be interested in that other course, so that...
Sir, I am taking CS441, the other course.
So this is Rohit, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so people...
Sakar
Who else? Sakar. Okay, Sakar, Rohit.
Sir, Pooja also.
Okay, 4 people.
Sir, me, Anushri.
Okay, I see. So a lot of people. Let's assume that all the PG students are taking. So since it's almost like a majority. So we need to do something about it. I will try to do what can be done. But let me just warn you ahead of time. Possibly nothing is going to happen. You may have to choose between one of the two. Anyway, so let me try. I will try my best. I will talk to the concerned instructor and I will see what can be done. All right. So that is this. So besides, as I was telling, CS 360 does not have a lab component, whereas CS 530 has, and the allocated time for CS 530 lab is on Mondays. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 4 to 5. Is it correct, Rohit?
Just a second.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. CS 530 lab, 4 to 5 p.m. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So may I know how many of the PG students are taking the data science? What is that course called? Srijit's course after this. How many of you are going to take that course?
Sir, I am taking it.
So I am also taking.
Okay.
Sakar also.
Okay, so Rohit Rajora has raised a hand. I'm assuming he's also taking. All right. So anyway, for undergraduate students, it's not a problem, because it is this class is not meant for. This is only for CS 530 students. Okay. So because this is a lab component, essentially what happens is CS 530 students will have more assignments. I will share all the details full assignment will be given to both the students, but CS 530 students will do more assignments because there is a lab component involved. So in this Monday 4 to 5 slot, what we will do is I will try to meet you sporadically during this time. Otherwise, one of the TAs will just be present in a Google Meet, and then you can ask their doubts with them. Okay, so that's the plan for this lab. So it is either going to be taken by me or the TS. It will not be for full 1 hour. We will just meet and discuss if there are any questions related to the assignments which are coding as a part. Okay, so all the coding you can do in any language, but I would recommend you use Python. Okay, so the recommendation is Python. Okay, so you try to finish your assignments in Python. Another important thing as far as the labs are concerned, okay, please do exactly what I'm asking you to do. So basically what I mean to is follow the instructions. Why is this important? As you will see, when you are doing a course like machine learning, there are several different ways in which you can attempt the same problem. So you will find that there are different algorithms which can be used for the learning problem. So I know some of you may not know what exactly is a learning problem, but let's say that you are supposed to do a task, and there are different ways in which you can do a task. And when I'm saying follow the instruction, what I mean is I will tell you exactly what algorithm you're supposed to use, and I recommend you follow that. The purpose is that I want to guide you through this landscape, okay, so that you learn every component properly. So it's important that you follow the instructions that are given in the assignment. Okay, all right. So this is the general class timings and the course language. So basically we have missed a couple of classes. So I will be taking a few extra classes to compensate for that, so that we don't lose out on time. As it is, because of COVID, it becomes really difficult because I don't know whether you are following. I don't know how the class is responding, right? So that's why we need to take adequate number of classes to cover the syllabus. Okay. And all right, so this is as far as the things are concerned. So now the first prerequisites. Okay, so prerequisites is essentially any first course, a first course in probability, any course. Okay, so things you may need to know some concepts that we will use very often. So any course in probability. So I know the last semester it was called as probability and statistics for computer science. I don't know what the undergraduate students have taken. I guess, can someone tell me what was the course in probability that you guys did? Anybody?
So we saw some probability in data interpretation and analysis.
Okay, so thank you. So please respond to my questions, because that helps me to know a couple of things. First, whether you are listening to me. Secondly, I don't know, because sometimes the internet is very weak. Sometimes it just goes away. So I may be speaking to myself. So yeah. So anyway, thanks for telling. So you saw something in data interpretation. What topics that we specifically really need you to learn is what is random variables. Okay, so this is something that you need to know. See, as and when we will use these concepts, I will give a recap, but you should know, try to prepare for this. So if possible, just watch the videos that I uploaded, and you can watch some of these things that you're not very sure about. So random variables, discrete and continuous, both of those are important. Then you are also this Bayes rule is also very important. Yeah, so this is another thing that is you must be familiar with. Then the third thing that is quite useful is central limit theorem. Okay. Then independence. Okay. So this is these are all the topics that you should be familiar with, at least. Things like Markov chains, then Poisson processes, Bernoulli process. Those are okay. If you don't know, it may not be that big a problem. But these four, at least, you must be familiar with. And then, as with any mathematically strong course. The knowledge of linear algebra. Okay, basically in linear algebra, the subspaces, subspace, vector space, subspace. Okay, so vector space, subspace. Okay, then basis. All these topics are important. Basis, and then the 4 fundamental spaces, right? I don't know if you have learned these things, but these things, if you know, it will be good. I will try to, as I told, I will try to give the background as and when required. Okay, so this is linear algebra, and then we will also require some concepts of calculus. Okay, so in particular things like gradient. Okay, then maybe even Taylor series. Then things like function, this minimization, maximization kind of things, basically optimization. All these things we will require, and I will of course try to recap as and when required. But these are the things that you need to have prerequisites. So for this first course in probability, to recap the probability things, I have given you an assignment. So I asked you before, but some of you were not there. But how are you finding those assignments? Are you able to approach those things? Any concerns there? I'm primarily asking undergraduate students because PG students have already done this last semester. So any undergraduate student has any concerns about the assignment that was given? Is everything okay? Are you able to attempt those? In the data interpretation, have you looked at any simulation?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So so that is the prerequisite. So now let us talk about the grading. How are we going to do the grading? Okay. So this is something that I'm still thinking about. See, typically I would have had quizzes, and quizzes is a good way to ensure people are following the syllabus. But what happens with quizzes is it takes up too much of my time. So our class, this one goes down. So I'm not very sure yet whether we should have quizzes. So I will keep that open for a while, but primarily it will have these things. First and foremost, you will have assignments. Okay. So then, so for CS 530 students, there will be more assignments. Okay, more assignments for CS 530. That is because you have extra credits. So for the lab. Okay, so this is one thing that will be there. Second, you will have midterm. Then you will have EndSem. Okay, so quizzes is still a question mark. Okay, I am not very sure whether we should do this. And then fifth one, we will also have one thing for class participation. So what is class participation? So first of all, we are recording your attendance. So one component is, are you attending the classes? Secondly, participation, like questions, asking questions, engagement, if you are responding to my questions, things like that. So these things will carry 10%. So this is what we will keep for class participation. These other components I'm still working out, but EndSem will have the most weightage, followed by midsem, then assignments. So this I will just think about a little bit because
Sir?
I'm not, yeah.
So like last semester, is there a chance of having a project instead of an EndSem or a midsem exam?
So Rohit, yeah, so that we can do, but I think EndSem is useful because this is the only time where you will read the whole syllabus once. So I am not in the favor of removing EndSems because that lets you really see the entire subject from beginning to end. Okay, so I will yeah. So
Midsem
what?
maybe?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So mid-sem maybe then?
No, why is it that you feel these exams are not good?
Nothing was not good, sir. I mean, having a project instead of an exam is, I don't know, exams
So-
give me anxiety, I guess.
So basically, let me just tell you to be very clear, these assignments, even though I'm calling it as assignments, they are in some sense mini projects. Okay, you will have different data sets. You will have to do different learning tasks. Okay, all I'm asking you in a full-fledged project is to write a report. So that we will cut down on. I feel like that is something that you can do, and there is learning involved there, but it's not that much. So assignments also are actually kind of full-fledged. Okay, so you will see that there will be a good amount of like applications that you will do in assignments. So it's not like you are not getting any like a complete project experience. So you will have some amount of it in the assignments. Okay, let me see. I see the point you are making. So as the course progresses, I may introduce. So this is the first time I'm teaching this course. See, I have taught probability and statistics for different students, but this is a different course. So I want to keep it flexible. Okay, so let me see. I will let you know. All right. So any questions from anybody on the grading? Okay, so this will have most weightage. So exact breakdown to be announced. So give me like a few weeks. Okay, since it's a compulsory course, it doesn't really matter that you will not be considering to drop it or something. So it's okay. So we can just be a little more flexible for this. Okay. So now coming to the syllabus. Okay, so okay, so now the thing is there is a lot of things that are there in the field of machine learning. Okay, and it is really not possible to cover all of it. So what we are going to do instead is basically try to have a a base foundations laid, so that all the things that you learn later on, which are not taught as part of the course, falls into that foundation. Okay, so that's the idea of this course. So what we will do is basically do things like, so basically we were looking at machine learning from the point of view of statistics and probability. So basically it is, if you want, this can be thought of as a statistical pattern recognition course. Okay, this is what is the traditional name for the subject. Okay, so it's going to fall in the framework of statistical pattern recognition. And what we will do first as part of this is what's called as a Bayes classifier. Okay, so we'll look at Bayes classifiers, and then with the Bayes classifier, we will learn things like MLE. Okay, we will learn things like map. Okay, then we will also look at EM. So these things we will do as part of Bayes classifier. Then, so let me not number this, because this seems to as though indicate something. Yeah, so this is what we will do. And then we will also have the next thing. So basically we will look at what is a generative approach. Okay, and we will look at what is discriminative approach. Okay, so all these things will form like the basis on which all of your algorithms will fall in. Okay, so typically if you see some of the popular courses that are taught in this, so you will find that most of the approaches is it's basically like a toolbox. So toolbox approach, what it does is it lists down all the algorithms that are there in this space, and then you show an implementation of the algorithm, and then that's how it is done. So many of these courses, but we will not do that. We will instead try to lay the foundation, and then whatever you learn will be in relation to the foundation. Okay, so these are all the foundational things. In the discriminative approach, we will look at linear and non-linear. Okay. So in non-linear, we will look at SVMs. We will look at neural networks. Okay. And in the linear, we will look at perceptron. We will look at, so you may not know all these names, but you'll get to know linear regression, logistic regression. Okay, so all these things are falling under this whole thing is what is called as supervised learning algorithms. Okay, supervised learning. Okay, so this is the one part of the course. So this is what we will do first, and then we will also do unsupervised learning. Okay, here what we will do is we will look at k-means clustering. Okay, we will look at PCA, which is basically a technique in dimensionality reduction. Okay, and things like this. Then, yeah, we will look at kernel PCA if time permits. Okay, and we'll also look at topic models or /LDA, topic models /LDA, latent Dirichlet thing. So, but some of these things we may have to drop or change depending upon how the time is there. Okay, so I think this is essentially the syllabus. So we will cover all these topics, and then every week, as and when I teach some concept, there will be a assignment. So there's going to be a significant assignment component, especially for CS 530 students. For CS 230, what I will do is I recommend you to have a look at the assignments, try to solve the assignments. You will have options there. So like in the first assignment, you saw that there were options. There's going to be optional questions for you, but you can try and attempt as many of them as you like. Okay, but I recommend strongly that you do that. Okay, so all right, so this is about it. So one thing I forgot to mention, at the end of assignment, midterm, and SEM, there will be basically there may be a surprise viva. Okay, so plus viva. So this is to ensure that all of you have done the questions on your own. So if I suspect that some of you have not really written your own answers, I may actually call you for a viva. And then if you are not able to convince me that you have actually done these things yourself, then there will be a penalty. So basically the assignments will be evaluated with this. Okay, so assignment, midterms, and viva and SEM. So that's about it. I guess I might have missed a few things here, but I will make a document and share it with you. But it's not going to be extensive. It means we may have to omit a topic here and there in case the time is not permitting. Okay, so this is it. So are there any questions based for the syllabus or the grading or the prerequisites? Any questions from anybody?
Sir, are there any MIT courses to refer to?
Oh yes, thank you for asking. So let me give that thing. So yeah, so so basically references, that's an important point I completely forgot. Okay, so references, this time first books. So the first reference is the book by Duda, Hart, Storr. Okay, so this is called as pattern classification. Okay, so this is it's a difficult book. Okay, so please be careful when you read this book. Okay, so I will especially I will mention which sections to read, and then you can refer that. But if you attempt it on your own, you may find it a little hard. It's a little old book, but it's a good book. There is a lot of statistical aspects that I want to bring in. It's covered in this book. So this is one. Second is Bishop's book. Okay, so Christopher Bishop. The book is called as Pattern Recognition and Machine Learning. Okay, then okay, I forgot to mention one important aspect. In the syllabus, there is also going to be some amount of learning theory, statistical learning theory. Okay, so this is again something time permitting. So bias variance trade-off. Then second thing that we will discuss is VC dimensions. Okay, so these two will also be covered as part of the course if time permits. Okay, so I have to see how this goes. Okay, so anyway, so this is the two references. So there is one book by Ethan Alpa. I'm not very sure what is the spelling, but something like this. Let me see in internet. Just a moment. Yeah. Yeah, this book. So Introduction to Machine Learning. This is a very readable book. So this is something that you can see right away. Okay, so Ethan Alperdin. So this is Ethan. So Introduction to Machine Learning. Okay, so now coming back to the question I think Pooja asked. So other references. So we are going to actually follow 2-3 online things also. So one is, so there is a course called as statistical pattern recognition. So this is a course by Professor P.S. Shastri. Okay, so this is an NPTEL course. It's a very difficult course. I don't recommend that you start watching this immediately. What I will do is instead, yeah, it's a reference, but you just be careful going through because it's heavily math oriented. So this is one reference. Second reference is called as learning from data. Okay, so this is a good reference. This is by Professor Abu Mustafa. Okay, so he is a Caltech professor. So this is a Caltech course. So this covers many of the things in statistical learning theory. This is a thing that you may all be able to follow. But yeah, again, this is also a little bit theoretical. And then, of course, there is always machine learning from Andrew Ng, but that may not be necessary. I mean, it is okay. It's a good thing. It's very useful, but it does not address the theory that we would like to cover. So this is, I think, Stanford. Okay, so these are the other references. All right, so yeah, so this is about the books and others. So if you want to start reading, I think Ethan Alperdin is a good book to start. So I think, as you saw, it is available in somebody's website. So please download it while it is there. Okay, so Bishop is also available. So just let's download it. Okay. All right. So this is about the references, logistics, grading, and all. So any questions so far? Okay. So, all right. So moving on. So then I think we are ready to start our course. All right. So since this is a heavy course, okay, so and we are doing it online, I would urge you to let me know if you are facing any problems. Okay, so there are another important thing I forgot to mention. There are 2 TAs for this course. So one is Akanksha, and the second one is Rajat. So maybe Akanksha, can you just introduce yourself if you are there?
Yes, sir. I'm Akanksha. I'm a PhD student and I'll be TA for this machine learning course.
So Akanksha, maybe one of you can start a WhatsApp group and add all the students so that we can also communicate through another channel. Okay, so yeah, so you just announce in Google Classroom a link for all of them to join with.
Oh, sure, sir.
Yeah, so another TA is Rajat. Rajat, can you introduce yourself briefly?
Yes, sir. So I am Rajat. I am second year MTech student
Okay, so yeah, so we will soon have a WhatsApp group, and then you can. So if you have any doubts, you can either ask me or the TAs. Okay, so anyway, so please, one important thing, please do not. So all your assignments and all your exams. So you are supposed to turn in your own work. Okay, you cannot collaborate. See, if you want to discuss concepts with your friends, that's fine. But when you submit anything, it has to be your work. So there will be a Viva component which may or may not be held depending upon your similarity with your friends' answers. Okay, so be careful with that. So please do not engage in cheating. All right. So then moving on. So we will start first essentially looking at what is meant by supervised learning. So can someone have you all done AI, right? Maybe the PG students haven't, but yeah. But can you tell me what you understand by supervised learning? Anybody? So there is a component for class participation. So,
Sir, if I attempted, like I can say like that in supervised learning, we know the answers ourselves and we are like give that to the machine that these are the cases where this is the known answer and then.
So known answer. So what is the question? How do you think of questions?
Okay, so question is something like we want to draw an inference from data and then we know the inference that we want to draw, that the machine should draw.
Okay.
And then
okay, so Siddharth, so did you learn this in AI a little bit about the definition of supervised learning in the last semester?
I don't remember any formal definition, but I had this idea.
Okay, but it was some kind of supervised learning was discussed, right?
Yes, sir. That was just.
Yeah. So what you said is correct. So basically, what you have is features. Okay, so this is basically what you called as problems. Okay, so this is your feature X, and then what you have is labels, which is what you called as answers, which is Y. Okay, and depending upon what range of values Y can take. So either you have a classification problem. Okay, if Y is taking the value 0, 1, okay, then it's a classification problem. Or if Y belongs to R, a real number, then it's called as a regression problem. So basically there are 2 types of problems that we are interested in supervised learning. Okay, so as Yeah, so that is what we are going to start with. Okay, so this is a vast area, and then there is a underlying theory which connects all of it, and that's probability. But before we get there, we have to start somewhere. And what we will do is like we will start with classification. Okay, so this is what we have. So let us look at some examples. Okay, so maybe somebody can tell me a few examples of classification.
You're classifying animals, the pictures as cats or dogs is a
Yeah,
very
so-
basic example.
Yeah, so cats versus dogs. Okay, so what do you have as features here? What are the features here?
So actually here the features in numeric forms, they might be the size of the ears or the nose and the color or the color of the eyes, and some features which when seen can discriminate between the cats and dogs.
Okay, fine. I understand what you're saying. So basically the features are whatever you said, cats, ears, no eyes and things like that. But fundamentally, the most common feature are the pixels, right? So basically it's like some size of the image. So maybe like 256 cross 256, which means there are 256 rows and 256 columns. Okay, and each square there is called as a pixel, which takes, if it is a color, then it takes more, but assuming that it's grayscale, it will take 256. Okay, so this is essentially the features, which is called as X. You may take X and you may try to create new features such as X square, X cube. Those are what you were referring to. Yeah, so that way you can augment it. So you can add other things, but fundamentally X is the feature, and the label Y is cat or dog. So maybe we call 0 as cat and 1 as dog. Okay, so this is an example of cats versus dogs, this one. So second thing that you may want to do, so see in LinkedIn, there is a feature of applying for jobs. Okay, so in LinkedIn, LinkedIn is a professional social network where you connect with your friends, you connect with your seniors or things like that, and basically you can see their professional achievements. And now what is LinkedIn is doing is it is having some component of LinkedIn and many other companies, actually they are doing this. So they want to have job portal. So basically they want to have a job portal. So there are many other companies that do that. So in the job portal, what happens, you want to predict, okay, whether certain candidate X, okay, is going to stay for more than 1 year, something like that. So this, what is this called? This is like a loyalty. So you want to look at candidate X. So what are the features of X? Can someone tell me in LinkedIn, what are all the features that are available?
Past employment, achievements, education.
Yes, very good. Employment, education, achievements, okay, friends, okay, then I don't know, maybe what is that called, recommendations and things like that. You would like to look at this and you would like to predict, if I take this candidate for my company, whether this person is going to stay in the company for 1 year or not. Okay, why is this an important problem? Because you don't want to hire somebody, train that person, only to find that he leaves after 3 months for a better job. Okay, so this is an important problem, and people are actually looking at such problems. There are startups that do this. Okay, so this is this. Then you can have things like credit default. So okay, so you would have seen, you would have heard in news that a lot of people are absconding with the money that they owe to our banks, right? So what you want to do in credit default problem is like you want to assume that there's an individual X. Okay, so I'm calling individuals as X because X is the problem, which is like whatever in the words of Siddharth, X is like the problem. So basically an individual. Okay, so what are all the things that an individual has? We will see that. So something like salary. Okay, then age. Okay, then employment. Okay, history. So we want to look at a person X, and then you want to predict whether that person is going to pay his loans or not. So if he pays his loan, then it is called as no default. Okay, and if it is 1, that means he defaults. So basically, this is an undesirable thing. You don't want people to default because that's a loss for you. Okay, so these are all the kind of classification problems. Okay, so this is for classification. Now let us just for completeness, can we discuss a few regression problems? Can someone tell me some good examples of regression problems?
You're predicting whether the stock price of a company will go down tomorrow or not.
Okay, so first one is stock prices. Okay, so who spoke?
Rohit.
Rohit, so tell me, what is the feature here? What are you going to use as features? So stock price, right? So what is it that you're going to look at it?
So probably the stock indices like NASDAQ or Dow Jones. Something like
Okay,
that.
so stock price, let us fix a company. Okay, let us fix a company such as, I don't know, maybe Tata Motors. Okay, so this is one company which you want to know whether the stock price will go up or not. So now what are the features that you will choose for this company? For doing this problem of stock price prediction, what will you do? So this is a stock price, and what you are predicting as a Y. First, let me ask you that what is it that you are going to predict as Y?
So yes or no.
So basically, you are still talking about classification, right? No means it doesn't go down; it goes down. If it goes up, it is increase. Okay. Anyway, since you brought it up, since this is a classification problem, I will name it as 4. But any case, can you tell me what is the features for stock price? Anybody? What will you use as features? You can tell me over chat also in case you are not able to tell by unmuting. Previous trends, very good. So that is what I was looking for. So you need to look at previous historical trends. Okay, so maybe past 10 days, how it has behaved. So let us call it as X2, X3. At least this must be there. Okay, so this is past 10 days. For past previous day, what was the value? Previous 2 days, what was the value? Previous 3 days, 4 days, like this is. And then you may have also like a overall trend for the NASDAQ, like what he said, right? NASDAQ, those kind of trends can also be there. Like what is how is the overall market doing, right? And how was the budget, whether budget increased this, all these things can be factoring in the stock price of Tata Motors. You can also have a few competitors here. Okay, so how is Maruti's index doing? Okay, so if the entire market is hit on the automobile sector, then it's more likely that even Tata Motors is also affected. So something like this. So this is again an example of a classification problem. So can somebody give me some good examples of regression problems?
House price
Car
prediction.
cost prediction.
So somebody said house prices. Another one, what was the other one?
Cars cost prediction.
Okay, car cost prediction. Okay. Okay, so for first coming to house, what are all the features here?
Location, size.
Location, number of bedrooms. Okay, so all of you have seen this in one or the other course. It's a very popular data set. Number of bedrooms and things like that. And why? What will it be? The cost, right? Cost in lakhs, for example. Okay, and car cost prediction again is very similar. What are the features?
Model.
Name, model,
Mileage, engine.
mileage,
Seats.
See, it's very important here that you are talking about used cars. Okay, because new cars are already having a certain price. Okay, there is no prediction problem there. But what you are learning required, right? You just look up at the catalog, the price is there. Okay, anyway, so these are all examples of regression. So now coming back to the original framework, so we are going to start the entire thing with classification. So let's go back to that, and now let's try to formulate it in terms of statistics. Let's try to understand classification from the point of view of statistics. So that is what we are going to do in the next few lectures. Okay, so yeah. So what you have is X. Okay, this is called a script X. Okay, so this is the set of all features. Okay, from this set of all features, you will draw like data samples. So from this, you will get X1, X2, X3, and so on, Xn. Okay, for example, if you look at genetic profile of human beings, right? So there are certain number of chromosomes and there is certain number of ways in which these chromosomes can manifest, right? So that entire collection, what are all the possible domain? What's the domain of that is called as X. So this is like your domain. Okay, and what X1, X2, X3 are? They are all individuals, like person A, person B, and so on. Okay, C and so on. So what you have is set of all features, and then from these features you have what are called as training samples. And for each of the training samples, you have what is the labels. So Y1, Y2, Y3, and so on. Okay, so if you look at the example of classifying cats and dogs, so set of all features is in 256 cross 256, that image, what are all the values that each point can take, right? So each point can take go to 255. Okay, and then there are 256 cross 256 such pixels. X is a representation of all possible things, and X1, X2, X3 are various images that you have. And corresponding to each image, you are telling whether it's a cat or a dog. Okay. So now, what you need to design is basically a function H. Okay, which is called as a classifier. Okay. Now, what you need is a function from any possible set of features. You need to be able to predict which are all the things that it can go to. Okay, so what are all the labels it can be? So 0, we can, for example, fix it for cat. 1, we can fix it for dog. Okay, 0 can be for no default. Okay, and 1 can be for default. All these things we can think of in terms of these 0 and 1 labels. Okay, and in a classification problem, instead of having 2 labels, you can have multiple labels also. Okay, so you can also have H, which goes from X. Okay, so 0, 1, all the way till m-1. So this is also a classifier. Okay, it is a multi-class classifier. So you can also have this. Okay, so essentially, finally, we have defined what's a classifier. Okay. Now the important questions that we need to answer is, what are all the questions here? What do you want to do? So this is just a formulation, but what are you going to do? So basically, we have to choice what choice of H. Okay, how do you choose H? Okay, what is an optimal H? Right? These are all the things that we need to answer. What is an optimal H? Okay, and when you talk about optimality, you need to be able to have performance metric. Okay, so these are all the things that we need to answer going forward. All right. So what we will do in the first part of this first module of this course is to look at a Bayes classifier. Okay, so that's what we will do. And Bayes classifier essentially is the optimal classifier. Okay, and we will tell why it is optimal also. And we will say why we can't use Bayes classifier throughout why don't we just restrict ourselves to base classifier and forget everything else? So that also we will try to answer. Okay. So now to motivate base classifier, let us, so this is the setup. So let me just fix some simple problem first, and then let me ask you how you will solve this problem. So let us look at a simple example. Okay, so let us look at the case of default versus no default. So basically credit default problem. So I'm telling you that in the population, okay, the probability that some individual I, okay, is going to default is 0.2, and I'm going to tell you that the probability that the person doesn't default is 0.8. So this is all the information I'm going to give you. Okay, so now my question is, what is the choice you will make? So now this is the information you have. You are a person who is running this bank. Okay, and let us assume that whenever somebody makes a default, you lose 1 rupee, and whenever somebody makes does not default, you gain 1 rupee. Okay, so something like this. So now can you tell me what is the best optimal classifier here? So basically, what's a classifier? Given an individual x, okay, from this space, you need to tell me whether you are going to give a loan or not, right? So basically, you need to predict whether the person is going to default or not default. My question is, what is the optimal classifier, given that I'm only telling you this information? So you tell your strategy, I will write here, and then we will discuss. So you are supposed to only use this. This is called as a prior information, right? This is what you know about the problem. Yes, anyone wants to attempt this?
If we just start giving loan to everybody, we'll profit, right?
Okay, so your proposal for h of any x, okay, is to always say 1 for all x belonging to x. So this is one strategy. Anybody else wants to try anything else? This was Siddharth's strategy. So how many of you agree with this strategy? So how many of you don't agree? So if you don't agree, you say, you raise your hands if you don't agree. So Rohit doesn't agree. Anybody else who doesn't agree with this strategy? Okay, Rohit. So what would you do instead? Rohit, what would you do instead? Okay, so the question is as follows. So what you have is a simple problem where you need to predict if someone is going to default or not. Okay, all I am telling you is that in the population, let us say you are in Goa, you are running a bank in IIT itself, in your this, let's say, Union Bank. That's what you are running there. And then what you know is, in the general population that lives in your client base, okay, 20% of people are going to default and 80% don't. Okay, the question is just using this prior information. This is all you know. You can't use any X. You don't know anything about each individual person, but they will come to your bank, right? Even though you may not know much, they will come to your bank. They will ask you whether you can give them a loan. You need to decide whether you want to give them loan. All you have to go with is a prior. Okay, I'm asking you, what classifier will you build? Assuming that the value X itself you can't use, but what will you do anyway? So one strategy which Siddharth said is give loan to everybody. Okay, he says that is profitable. So Shivam, that is the question. So is there anything else? Do you agree with Siddharth's approach, or is there anything else you can do here?
This is the other Rohit here from PG courses.
Yeah.
Another method is just to have a biased coin toss and randomly decide whether to give or not.
So what is a bias? So you basically do a biased coin.
Like a Bernoulli.
Okay. What is the P you are going to choose?
0.8.
Okay. So basically what you are suggesting is you do a coin toss. Okay. And if the coin is reporting head, okay, what you do is you are going to your h of x, comma, this omega. So basically what outcome comes is equal to 1. Okay. If omega is equal to h, okay, omega is equal to tail, you give 0. So this is your strategy, Rohit, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And sir, may I ask that this probability remains the same, right? The 0.2 and 0.8, the prior probability remains the same. So
Yeah.
100 people that I see,
Yes.
still be the same.
Yes, it will still be the same. Okay, so this is an alternative strategy which Rohit from the PG program has said. So how many of you agree with this strategy? Can you raise your hands if you disagree with this strategy? Okay, can you raise your hand if you agree with this strategy? Okay, 2. Yes, and Shivam. Okay, so basically there is a fundamental problem that is there in Rohit's strategy. Okay, so let me just tell the answer first. Perhaps we will not get why we will. Let me try to answer it, but let's see. So this is the correct strategy. Okay, so this is a problematic strategy. Let me tell you why. Okay, so here. The fact that you get a head is completely independent of whether yi was 0 or 1. These are, see, if you do a coin toss, it doesn't mean that this and this are going to reflect in any way in the same way. Okay, so basically if you write all possible values of your coin toss and vice, so let us say this is your coin toss, okay, and this is your y, and I will write what is the probability of coin toss and y taking that particular value. Okay, so there is so coin toss can give you a head, the person can default. Coin toss can give you a head, the person cannot default. This can also happen. The coin toss can give you a tail, the person defaults. The coin toss can give you a tail and the person doesn't default. So these are all the ways in which it can happen. Okay, now coin toss and y are independent, right? Because see, you are sitting and doing a toss. What has that got to do with the person who is coming to ask a loan? There is absolutely no connection. So they are independent. So this is going to be probability of h into probability of yi equal to 1. Okay, so this is going to be 0.8 into 0.8 into 0.2. This is 0.16. Okay, and yeah, so this is what you're going to do, and then this will be p of h into p of y equal to 0. So this is going to be 0.8 into 0.8, which is 0.64. Okay, and this is, let's write this. So tail is okay, so tail is 0.2 into 0.2. This is 0.04, and then 0.2 into this one, 0.8 is 0.16. Okay, now what is your decision going to be? So the decision, so what is the total loss? That's what we will write here. Okay, so if the person is going to default, okay, and you get a head, so head indicates that you are going to give the loan, but here you are actually defaulting. So this is going to be -1. Okay, this is a desirable thing. You do a head, and you get a head and the person doesn't default. This is going to be a +1. Okay, and in this case, this is tail, which means you are not going to give a loan. So this is going to be 0, and this is also going to be 0. Okay, so now if I have done the math correctly, my expected loss, what is it? It is 0.64 minus 0.16.
0.5 or 0.48 or something.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what we will see the loss. I might have done some mistake. Okay, you please check this, but you check it. but there is some loss. But what is the loss if we followed Siddharth's strategy? So Siddharth's strategy was to give loan to everybody. Okay. So total expected loss will be probability of default. Okay. And then, so this will, whenever there is a default, there is a -1 plus probability of no default. And then there will be a +1. So this is going to be 0.6, right? So this is -0.2 plus this is 0.8. So this is 0.6. Okay. So Siddharth's strategy is clearly better. Does everybody follow this? Yes. Is it clear? Can I have a quick yes if everybody follows? Anmol, you have any question?
No, sir, I agree with.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So that is about it. So let's continue with this. Let's try to develop this base approach. Let's try to understand this more. So I think this is where we will stop. So I will see you all on Thursday. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.